you for everyone who's joined us for the Lunch and Learn session today. Thank you to Trent McLaren and Cale Bulgen for joining us. Can I ask you initially, I'll get you to introduce yourself, but today they're here today to join us and talk to us about DiviPay. DiviPay is your all-in-one expense management and bills payment solution. Smart MasterCards, automated bills, subscription management, and more. Your financial control app stack never looked better with DiviPay, helping you spend better with visual transparency on every transaction, automated bill payments, and world-class OCR technology. So DiviPay can work with SMEs, non-profits, and large enterprise companies. And businesses can instantly issue smart corporate cards to staff and teams, automate expense reminders so you're never missing a receipt, manage and process AP payments with customizable approval workflows, and auto code transactions to the GL using transactional data. So really looking forward to hearing all about DiviPay. So if I can hand over to you, Trent and Cale, and I'll just let a few more people in as they're coming through.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Heather. Everything you just said, I couldn't have written it better myself. Like that was really good. How did you know?
It did feel like I was reading you, wasn't it?
Oh, it was like I feel like I could have written that like in another life. So excited to show you a bit about DiviPay. For some people, it's very new, especially the accounting and bookkeeping channel. I've met other accountants and bookkeepers that have been using it longer than I've been here, which is only nearly 8 weeks, if you can believe that. Every time I chat to Cale, it's like, how has it only been 6, 7, or 8 weeks? Cale, I'm going to let you share your screen first. But we are a Sydney-based fintech startup in Surrey Hills, so everyone loves a Sydney startup. But the two founders for DiviPay actually came out of Westpac originally. They were building really cool tech at Westpac that never got to market. So they're in their labs division. And everyone gets sick of, I can see why, but they get sick of building all these really cool things that never actually get into the hands of anyone. So they decided that, you know what, we can do this better. Why don't we go and build this ourselves? And at Westpac, they were specifically working with a lot of virtual card technology, and that's where DiviPay started. Fun fact, it started as a consumer product, so it was about dividing payments or splitting payments at a restaurant or splitting grocery receipts if you're flatmates or whatever it may be. And just through iteration and pivots and listening to customers, we ended up in a virtual corporate card space. Cale, I'll let you flow to the next. So just to reiterate, my name's Trent. I'm head of accounting and bookkeeping here at DiviPay. Cale is our head of sales here at DiviPay. And as you heard, Cale has previously worked at Xero, at HubDoc, and had once upon a time was also an accountant. Myself have worked for DiviPay, Practice Ignition, the team at Toa Global for a short stint, and obviously, as I mentioned at the start, with the team at Intuit QuickBooks as well. So we've been around a little while, is all I'm really saying. What we're going to cover off in this session today, on the next slide, Cale, is a little bit about DiviPay. So our mission, why do we exist, some of the problems that we observe, and why we're building to solve them. And then we're going to deep dive and actually show you DiviPay. And that's why I bring in the master of all things knowledgeable on DiviPay, that is Cale. So he's going to run you through those in a moment. So our mission here at DiviPay, we talk about this every single Friday week, like why do we exist? What are we here for? To enable business owners to feel like CFOs and for accountants and bookkeepers to feel like superheroes. So the tools and tech that we build for you is to help you help enable your clients to do better with their financial spending, being able to have better controls in place so that they're not up for any types of fraud or loss of money, and they can visually see everything that's going on at any point in time. There's a snapshot of all of the values there, and I won't go through them one by one, but effectively we make our customer the top of the priority. Like, we're trying to make sure that we're building solutions that will actually be used and are actually helping to solve a problem, and where we have to do less with more and be biased towards action in all things startup. So it means we wear lots of hats in this business to help get these things done. but it's a very exciting time for our team of 14 or 15 people that are here in the business at the moment. This is a copy of my actual card, but I wanted to reiterate a story that I'd heard when I first joined DiviPay, and where we see some of the biggest problems is that people will willingly just hand their card around the office when someone needs to pay for something. It's like, hey, Trent, can I borrow your card for a sec? I just need to get that coffee for the client, or I need to go and pay for this thing. And it's like, yeah, here's my card and here's my PIN number, or just tap it and just make sure you give it back and give me the receipt. And we've all heard this story. The worst version of this story I heard is an office that had 30 different photocopies of the card sitting on top of each person's desk, so that when someone needed to make a purchase, like, oh, it's all good, just pull out my A4, I've got the card details, I'll just punch that in. And then they're trying to figure out, wait, who spent the money? Where's the receipt for it? How did that happen? Why are we doing it this way? It's crazy. Absolutely. Some of the stories I hear daily, absolutely crazy. If I go into the full stack of the problems we see, the real challenge here is that there's so many different tools in your financial control stack. There's payment tools, approvals and procurement tools, spend management and data automation tools. And here at DiviPay, we're trying to help you consolidate that stack. We want to give you the payment tools, we want to give you the approvals and procurement tools, and have all of that OCR technology and data automation built into one platform. So I'm not having to use 2, 3, or 4 different systems to get the same flow done where it doesn't make sense. So we're going to help you spend it, capture the information at the same time, and put full control on who can spend and what they can see on the back end, and give you full transparency on every single transaction that occurs inside DiviPay. How it works, real briefly, you set limits, you can set rules on what budgets are allocated to which people, who can spend it, when they can spend it. It is a virtual card, so it's a MasterCard that lives on your phone, Apple Pay or Google Pay, so Apple and Android. You can instantly issue virtual cards. So you don't have to go and apply to a bank, wait 3 weeks, hope that they approve you, go and visit the bank and sign on to be a signatory on the account. I've had to do all of those things. I can set up yourself up same day today, and you can issue up to 100 or more cards within an hour if you wanted to. There's no limit there. You tap and pay with your phone. Wherever you can tap with your physical card, you can tap and pay with a virtual DiviPay MasterCard. And then we automate the expense management. So with all that rich payment data that we capture in when the transaction occurs, that comes into the system automatically. We do a rough calculation on the GST. If we don't have the receipt, when we get the receipt, we extract out the GST and put that into the transaction. But the data flow starts with the payment, not with the receipt. And that's the most important thing I'd iterate. One thing that's coming from us in the next month or two is the digital receipts integration, where when you pay for something at a terminal, we can capture a digital receipt automatically, meaning you would not need to take a picture or copy of your receipt, because our digital receipts integration has already picked that up and put it into your system, which is flown into your accounting software. That for me is very, very, very cool. And it's a whole nother webinar itself into what it can do. I'm going to skip this one and we're going to jump straight into what is DiviPay. So Kale, my man, over to you. And hopefully you're all very entertained and engaged with what I've said so far.
Awesome. Thanks, Trent. And guys, I've just moved my screen across to the DiviPay platform. Just to kind of reiterate at a really high level, kind of what we're trying to do here at DiviPay. So yeah, we're trying to consolidate the tools that accountants, advisors, bookkeepers, and business owners use every day to manage their finances. We've built some awesome technology that enhances spend control across a business. And we've built that on top of, all of the tools that you would expect around data automation and expense management, with some really powerful data integrations flowing into those accounting systems. So we do have tools for employee expense management, smart corporate card issuance, managing your subscriptions, and an end-to-end bill payment workflow, from emailing in and using OCR data to extract and code those bills in your accounting system, pass those bills through a custom approval process with both you and your clients, and then the ability to just automatically pay those from within our platform. No ABA files, no batch payments. We'll auto pay them on the date that's scheduled and agreed to by you and your clients. The product I want to start with, or the feature set I want to start with first and foremost and dig deep into, is our smart corporate cards. And that really is the flagship product of the DiviPay platform. As we mentioned, we've we built the ability to instantly issue corporate MasterCards and set custom spending limits on those cards. Those spending limits are set and created in our platform through this concept of budgets. Budgets are really important in DiviPay, and this screen that you can see here is our budgets dashboard. I've got a few budgets set up for this demo account environment. And look, another thing that Trent alluded to, look, we service sole traders as customers. We also service large enterprise companies, including Xero themselves. Michael Hill Jewelers, every single store in Australia, New Zealand, and Canada has DiviPay cards in them. The reason I bring that up is because we've seen so many different ways that these budgets can be used. To give you an understanding of what works really well is setting these up based on different departments, different teams, maybe different projects running in a business, or even for smaller business, think 1 to 5, maybe 10 employees. Each employee could have their own budget. Trent's budget, Kale's budget, for example. A really common one that we see is a marketing budget. So let's create that today. I'm going to create a budget. I'm going to call it marketing. Then what I can do is I can set recurring top-up frequencies. So does this marketing team or department or employee need access to a set recurring amount of funds on a weekly, monthly, annual, or is it just a once-off basis? I'm just going to manually give them funds as they need them. Really commonly across our customer base, we do see weekly and monthly spend limits. So let's just set a monthly spend of $5,000 for this customer. Then I'm going to issue cards. Let's say we have 2 staff members in the marketing team here, James and Joseph. The next step when I create a budget and issue cards is to assign approvers. As the advisor, this very well could be yourselves. It could be the head of marketing. It could be the business owner, or it could be multiple of those roles as approvers. And the primary role is, whilst in DiviPay, we do set these strict monthly or weekly spending limits, our staff can actually request access to more funds. So it's almost like an internal procurement process where, hey, I need to spend an extra $50. I can put a request in providing how much I need, what I need it for, and of course, adding that to my marketing budget. Now, if I hit create here, we're going to create what we call a shared budget in DiviPay. And this is really important. Shared budgets mean that my employee, James here, he has access to the full $5,000 limit for this team or this department. That actually does work well for a marketing team. But think about those construction clients or other people that have individuals that are working kind of on their own out on the road. We need individual card limits on them. So what we can do for every single budget is we can set individual card limits and distribute that pool of funds as we need. These fields are editable and we can be really strict here, which now, and I was mentioning this to Heather prior to the meeting today, what we're finding is because of the customization and flexibility of these spend controls, it actually now makes sense for business owners to move away from those hacky workarounds of reimbursements, petty cash, or, you know, the photocopied credit card shared around the office. You can set custom spending limits, and now you have the security and control to give every employee access to a corporate card. Hitting create on this budget, we're going to create that marketing budget. And if I drill in here, we're going to see that card issuance in progress. It takes about 5 to 10 seconds. And as I mentioned, we are a fully digital solution. So there's no wait times for us to mail out physical cards or lengthy application process. Believe it or not, the quickest we've ever had a customer sign up to DiviPay, issue a card, make a payment, and have that data flow into Xero was 4 minutes. It's really quick, really easy, and you can always change these budgets. Change the recurring top-up amount, add and remove card holders, or delete the budget and start over. The other tool we have is a subscription management tool. This was built purely off customer feedback, where the advisors and small business owners we worked with were sick and tired of having a single credit card that was direct debited 30, 40, 50 times throughout the month for all of their software spend. So we've built the unique ability to issue unique independent MasterCards for specific software spend in the business. On this dashboard, you'll now have full visibility over all of the software subscriptions that your clients are purchasing. They can assign ownership to different employees around the business to manage those. So, yourself or the business owner isn't worried about setting up those direct debit payments all the time. And what's really cool and powerful about this is you can actually freeze and cancel these cards at any time. If you don't actually want to continue with a contract with a subscription provider the following year after the 12 months is ended, cancel that card, give them a call, tell them you want to terminate it. They'll never be able to charge you again. Tool and workflow tool we have is our bill payments. So we've built the ability to either email in or drag and drop supplier invoices into DiviPay. Any employee can do this, and we'll run machine learning and OCR data extraction technology to actually read that invoice and extract all of the relevant data, including that supplier's payment details. So the bank details for that payment. We'll then pass that bill through an approval process. What does that look like? Whenever we create a bill, we tie it back to a budget. I've got one that's a generic one here, AP bills. Whoever the approver is, so potentially that's your client, they will be triggered with an automated email prompting them to jump in and review that bill. Once they've jumped in, reviewed it, and approved that for payment, we then schedule this bill for payment. What does that look like for Xero? It's a bill sitting in the awaiting payment column in your bills to pay section. Once that's done and it's approved, that's the end of the workflow. DiviPay will then automatically pay this bill via an EFT on the scheduled date for payment. That might be the due date. If you want to pay it early, you can set it to pay earlier. If you want to help them manage cash flow a little bit better and hold on to that bill another week, you can do that, and we'll automatically pay it on the date set by either you or your client. No ABA file exports, no batch payments, and no jumping between different payment and workflow tools. So now I want to jump into the back end and quickly talk through our expense management. So we do have integrations with Xero, MYB, and QuickBooks. We've got a lot of manual integrations as well, where we import and map data manually here for those bigger clients. And then what we do is we have the ability to map our chart of accounts to what we call categories. Now, there's two reasons we use categories in DiviPay rather than just giving employees and clients the option to select the full chart of accounts. The first one is MasterCard merchant data. These default categories is MasterCard data. If, for example, I use a DiviPay card and I purchase fuel, MasterCard communicates with us that fuel was purchased, and we can actually use that to automatically code that transaction to our fuel or MV expense chart of accounts. Now, I know probably a lot of you are probably looking at this and going, that's a bit simple. We understand that. These default categories can be a bit broad and a bit generic, particularly for those bigger, more complex clients. So we've built the ability to create your own list of custom categories here, and you can use default and custom together or one or the other. And you can display each of these in selected budgets. So that marketing team budget will only see those categories that relate to marketing spend. We also allow staff to upload tax invoices through the mobile app, which I will share with you quickly. We can capture descriptions, attendee data, tracking categories and cost centers from your accounting system. And as Trent mentioned, we'll have a big announcement coming on this, but the digital receipt solution, we're really excited to launch in the coming weeks. So where does the data flow? Once you've set up everything in your DiviPay platform, cards are issued, you've set up all of your expense reporting requirements for anyone making purchases, you're going to see your data flow into this transaction table. It's a consolidated bank feed. It happens in real time, and we pass all of this data into Xero in two sets. We have a live bank feed with Xero, and then we also push the spend money and we raise bills in that platform as well. So we're really completing both sides of that bank reconciliation workflow, where we're matching spend monies and bills with the receipts GST coding to the bank feed item, and you're just clicking OK to reconcile. Another piece of feedback that we've heard from a lot of our partners is this transaction table is actually your bank account. So they now, the more transactions that they're moving through the DiviPay account, they actually have access to the opening and closing bank balance and every single transactional data, read-only, of course, across all of their clients that are using DiviPay. So when they want to export, that 30 June bank statement, they can jump in here and just do it themselves. that is everything on the web portal. I've got 2 minutes to just go through the DiviPay mobile app. So I'll share my screen here. Hopefully my mum doesn't try and call me. Awesome. So I'm on an iPhone. The DiviPay platform works with both Android and iOS devices. So think Apple Pay or Google Pay. Jumping into the app, this is our real company account. So you're going to see a budget in the middle that says sales. In the example I set up for the demo today, that would say marketing. And below that, as the employee, I can see my available limit to spend. Again, as the advisor, you can adjust, remove that limit to 0, increase it to $5,000 with the click of a button from the web portal. How do we make payments? Apple Pay or Google Pay? I can click Apple Pay, that'll take me to my digital wallet, and I can make a payment as I would with any digital card. Show card numbers down the bottom, virtual card for purchasing, CVC on the back. The request tool down the bottom left for staff requesting additional funds. Think about those $0 card values, and then expense reporting. Very similar to tools you would have seen before, where staff can jump in here and they can attach a photo of their receipt, provide all of their expense reporting data. And I think one of the key benefits of us being the payment tool and the expense management tool is we know instantly that a purchase has been made. So we actually send lots of reminders and prompts via push notification to smart devices to our end users, so employees within your client's business, chasing up all of this information. That's the end of the product side of things today. Trent, mate, I'm going to throw back over to you to close off the DiviPay discussion.
Love that. Amazing. Well done, always, as always. So in a nutshell, you've kind of seen our whole vision here is how do we help better spending so that all the transactions will flow then into the accounting system coded to the correct accounts automatically. And there's lots of different ways you can help code those transactions so they are as accurate as possible. One of them is understanding how the categories work. Second is in creating custom categories. And for those of you that love tracking categories in Xero, we can also use and set those up so that you can track the spend against projects or whatever it may be. Our whole goal and the reason we were so keen to come and jump on with you all is that we have a partner program, like most smart companies do. Within that program, that's literally my whole job. I'm just writing my first newsletter. I hate newsletters, but I'm just writing my first newsletter for the partner program today, just covering off all the amazing things that are going on. So, what's coming in products for the next 3 months. I'm just getting signed off on what I can and can't say, and I'm trying to push the limits on what that looks like because there's so much really good stuff coming. We talk about low foreign exchange rates. We talk about, I feel like I just read all of these and now I'm going blank at the same time. Being able to do getting points on your payments through bills, being able to do like card funding. There's so many wonderful things happening in the next 3 months, and I'd love to help people stay across what we're doing when we're doing it, as well as get benefits like getting your own DiviPay account. So if you want to use DiviPay for yourself, you can do that by becoming a partner, giving your clients access to different benefits and discounts. Again, you get all of that by becoming a partner. Guess what? It costs absolutely nothing to join unless you want to buy me a coffee. I would accept that. It costs you nothing to join. So you're welcome to become a free part of this partner program. I can run you through how that works, what that looks like. So if you are interested, you can email me. It's trent@divipay.com. Very simple. And I'll put it in the chat as well. And we're here to help support you, whether that's trying to determine if the client's a good fit. If they're not a good fit, we'll tell you. Like, we're very open and honest about whether this can or can't work. And we're very open about what our product does and does not do. So there's no point you being coming across something like, oh, I thought it did this, you said it did this. That will never, that should not happen, because we're committed to make sure that you're across exactly how this solution works. Heather, I might throw to you for the Q&A and the fun part of that was fun, but the funner part of the session.
Thank you so much, Trent and Kale, for sharing with us DiviPay and sharing how it works. And I can sort of really see that I could use it with some clients of mine, really align with what they're doing. But I'd like to open up to any Q&A session. So anyone who has any questions, you're welcome to jump on, put your video on, put your chat on and ask the questions of Trent or Kyle. You're welcome to pop the questions into the chat area. And I suggest when you do that, make sure you choose panelists and attendees so everyone can see that. So does anyone have any questions? Yes. Lady in red, Nicole, what's your question?
Chat there as well that we can answer after as too.
I've got lots of questions,
Right.
but I'll just start with one. So we're using Receipt Bank at present. Would this replace that you send it to DiviPay first and then send to Xero? Or would you send it to Receipt Bank still, mainly for the accounts payable? And then...
It's a good question, and it's come up a little bit since starting. It depends on how the client intends to use DiviPay, I think. Some instances, if DiviPay is where all of the spending is going to happen, then you would push all of your receipts through to DiviPay. If you've got an element where spending is still happening on other cards and things like that, we're not a catch-all for everything. We're a catch-all for DiviPay transactions, if that makes sense. If the client's using us for bills and bill payments, then again, that's another reason why you would push all of that through DiviPay. If you're not using DiviPay for the bill side of it, then you might continue to keep using Dext in that scenario. There is an overlap, and we're very open to the fact. I've had a chat with them about this the other day and said there is an overlap because we're trying to understand if we can work together, what would that look like and how would we do that? Just from like partnerships and all those wonderful things, because we do a lot of things that they don't do at all, but some of what we do, it makes sense to cover those things, right? Like the fact that we can do the payment and the receipt and the bill all in one place and pay for it and not do the ABA file side of it. Very, very appealing. That's what gets a lot of people very jazz hands excited about what we're doing. So hopefully that kind of answers it, but I would say it depends on the client and how they intend to use us. And then I can give a better review on what the correct flow might look like.
Thank you.
Great question, Nicole. Now, I think, Joy, you had a question there.
Yeah, I did. I don't know if I missed a step. I might have been eating at the time. With DiviPay, does it connect to your bank account, or do you deposit funds in to have money in your account to be able to cover the credit cards?
So you deposit funds into DiviPay. So we're not saying that we're replacing your bank account. We're saying all of your money will go into your business bank as per normal. DiviPay is an extension of where all of the spending happens. And that's the best way to think about it. So you can set up a direct debit so that if let's say you create a limit, I've normally got 10 grand in my bank. If it goes below if I've got 10 grand in my DiviPay bank balance, we dip below 5,000, we can automatically direct debit that back to 10,000 at the point of it going under its limit. I can also manually transfer in at any point in time as well. We are on the OSCO network for those accounts, so it is an instant payment when it goes in. Direct debits that are set up typically 3 to 5 business days when that goes through. So it's not replacing the bank account, it's an extension of, and should be looked at as your spending accounts.
Yeah, so when you link it to Xero, does it automatically create a bank account in Xero with the bank feed? So it's just a transfer between accounts.
Yeah,
Xero
so when you integrate with DiviPay, you'll see it appear as a DiviPay expense account on the bottom of your dashboard automatically.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Joy. Now, Alexander, you've asked a question as well. Would you like to jump on and ask it, or would you like me to ask it?
I suppose I wrote it all out, but thanks very much for the presentation, guys. I'm getting a lot of material from Airwallex at the moment, and one of their big features is talking about corporate cards and the ability to, instantly issue them as well. And they do similar things. So just wondering if you could maybe compare and contrast, or if they are quite similar, is DiviPay's things that set it out being all the other functionality that you add to the picture.
Yeah, there's some similarities there, and the biggest similarity is that we have cards. I think that's probably the main thing. And they're great people, great products, so you won't hear anything from us about that competitive nature. I've been around too long to do competitive stuff anymore. It's just not worth anyone's time or energy, but they're great guys, great product, great people. The functionality side and where it differs, we focus a lot more on that employee spending and creating it through budgets, and that's probably the biggest unique selling proposition that I'm aware of, because I can't speak, I'm not an expert at Airwallex by any means. Their biggest competitive advantage is their low foreign exchange rates. That's their product, is cross-border payments and having multi-currency accounts. Our biggest strength and asset is on the financial control side of it. So if you want to try and limit who can access what budgets, it's not just that everyone gets a card with $300 or $400 on it. It's that people get access to a budget. They can only spend X amount within that budget. And then all of the data that's flowing back and the integrations back into the accounting software from our side, very rich, seamless data. The second part of this bill payments piece, that's not something that Airwallex does, and I don't imagine they will do, at least to my knowledge, because that's not part of their product. Our vision and future for where we go with DiviPay is how do we help businesses spend better? So we've talked about bill payments, but that could be payroll payments in future, so that all of your payroll happens in Xero or KeyPay or any of those wonderful systems. That comes into DiviPay, and we would pay it out of the DiviPay balance with all of those transactional data, again, flowing back into your accounting software, getting rid of the ABA file. So I think the biggest difference is probably our vision and what we're both trying to solve. They're solving a very different problem primarily to the problem that we're trying to solve. The overlap is that we both have cards that allow for, to spend that money. Kale, would you add anything else to that?
I guess the only other thing I would add is I think you hit the nail on the head. The big difference is, Airwallex is a bank account, and they do, card issuance, virtual card issuance. We are a financial control and accounting workflow automation tool that has card issuance on top of that. That would probably be the biggest way that you would kind of clarify the two products and the feature sets.
And Alexander, hopefully that all makes sense. I'm happy to expand. Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Great.
You can see Chester got excited by that answer in the background. Thank you very much, Alexander, for your question there. Does anyone else have any questions that they'd like to ask on screen? I know, Nicole, do you have another question there? Yep.
Hello again. You were giving the demo with like a marketing team. Can you give multiple different budgets to people? So maybe they do marketing and maybe they do admin. And what does that look like? Do they have multiple cards on their phone?
So you have one card on your phone. So sorry, short answer, yes. I could have access to 10 different budgets and I could spend a varying amount.
Oh, stop. Don't spend any more. You're out of control.
If I showed you mine, you'll see I actually have a coffee budget. That's how serious I am about my caffeine intake, and making sure there's always enough money for an espresso. But when I look at the app, there's an option underneath my card that says what budget I'm paying from. So all I do is select the budget I want to draw down on and spend from in money-wise. Once I've done, so it's one, click what budget, click. I then just click pay with Apple Pay in my regard. Maybe it's Google Pay. That takes me to the wallet and my card is then ready to spend from the correct budget. So you don't have 10 different cards. You just pick the budget you're trying to spend from and then pay it through Apple Pay or Google Pay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Joy.
Hi again. Do you have a partner portal? Like, so if we sign clients up and we want to log into their DiviPay accounts, can we say just sign into our main account and go to whichever client it is that we've signed up to?
Calling it a partner portal is probably a stretch, but we do have an ability for you to log in using one email address and you just pick the list of clients. So no different to when you're looking at your...
Like Xero.
Correct. You can say, which client am I trying to log into? And you go, that one, you'll be able to log in and do whatever you need to do. I'd love to say we have a partner portal per se, and I'm definitely drawing up visions of what this will look like and how, because there's a few things that we have to do in the back end, which is fine. That's, it's part of my job. It's okay. But I'd like to streamline that a lot better in future. So I'll say kind of, yes, but it can be better.
Okay, and can we do they pay the subscriptions or do we do it and get a discount?
Both. Yeah, so there's options for both. So either client can pay directly or you can pay for all the subscriptions and there's a better discount involved. There's also an option to buy a bundle of licenses like 5, 25, 10, etc. At a bigger discount again, depending on need. And we can help assess what that looks like, help with migration, help with training. You can see all my years working at all these other software companies. I'm like, oh, I know how all of this works out well. So Yeah.
And as an Air Wallets user, I can see that they complement each other, to be honest.
That's
So-
what we also see as well, right? So it's not if you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out what they do. As I said, there's some really good people that work there.
Yeah.
And that's, it's important.
Yeah, I'd agree with Joy on that comment as well. They do different things. Any other questions? I'll pop in a few questions for you while people are thinking if they've got any other questions there. I wanted to confirm I can make overseas purchases using DiviPay.
Correct.
Yes. It was mentioned that I'm running a subscription. I no longer want to pay the subscription. I cancel my card. How does that impact my credit rating?
I mean, I want to say it doesn't, because we don't have anything to do with credit ratings and so forth. It's literally like a prepaid MasterCard on our side. Kale, maybe you want to confirm, but in my first instance, I would say it doesn't impact your credit rating.
Yeah, it wouldn't. It's not going to impact your credit rating. Interesting you bring that up, because we actually do have a line of credit coming to the platform for small businesses to apply directly from within DiviPay. That's coming soon, but at the moment, it's not going to affect your credit rating at all. As we mentioned, think of it as a debit facility. You're spending your own money, unless you're using one of those cards to pay off a motor vehicle loan and you cancelled that card or something like that. There's going to be no impact on the credit rating.
Awesome. And you can include that new feature in your newsletter, Trent.
You know what I've done? I've actually done that. So, I mean,
Did I spoil it?
I know. I mean, people are probably going to be like, Trent, this newsletter is way too long. But if I just quickly...
Oh, it's the newsletter.
I know, we're right here. So these are the things that we're talking about at the moment. So we're looking at, I'll read them through, but employee reimbursements is a interesting one that we'll look to address shortly. Offering a line of credit via charge card, so up to 20 grand, and you apply through the DiviPay browser. Low foreign exchange rates on subscription cards, non-prepaid cards on subscription cards. The reason we're addressing those two things is because some SaaS software as a service suppliers don't like prepaid cards, because they know that you can just turn them on and off. Therefore, they try to reduce their own fraud by not allowing those things. We don't see it a lot, but it's enough for us to go, we can try and address this so that you don't have those problems in future. Credit card funding. So we get a lot of questions on points and how do I make sure I'm still getting points? We're looking to help solve that through being able to top up your DiviPay account through credit card funding. This will be specifically for bill payments only in the first release. Cross-border payments, so you can make payments overseas, but we're looking to just improve the rates associated with that, different currency accounts and all those sorts of bits. We talked about digital receipting. I've only written it as digital receipts. I probably need to hype it up a lot more because it's very, very, very cool. And I might even just, Kale, do you want to talk through this? You do a much better job than I do.
Yeah. So these guys at Slip are awesome. They're another Sydney-based tech startup. They're actually the first ever to be backed by all four of the big four banks and their VC arms. And they do digital receipts. They're basically building with both sides. So point of sale systems, so within a store or a restaurant, and then also with financial products and institutions. So they've gone live with NAB already, and we're going to be next, which is really exciting. What the experience will look like is you'll tap your DiviPay card at a Slip-enabled merchant and a digital receipt will be delivered instantly to our platform. There won't be any photos or scanning from staff. Chemist Warehouse is a big one that they're live with. They've shared us their kind of roadmap, which unfortunately we can't share, but it is super exciting to see the merchants that they are bringing on. And even just a restaurant, literally a 2-minute walk down the road from me is Slip enabled. I bank with NAB. I've tested it. It is awesome. Receipt was delivered instantly. And what they're actually doing with these receipts is they're actually going to include your returns barcode, warranties, store open hours, and their returns policy and it's an interactive receipt and it is a data share. So we'll get data for line by line items. We're not OCR trying to read the line items. It's actually an instant data transfer. So what that's going to do in terms of line item extraction as well is very exciting. So this is one to, I guess, keep an eye on.
We have very jazzed hands about it. We're very excited.
Yeah, that's astonishing. I wonder whether they will know that you've purchased from them, and then promote back into your feed on your mobile phone. Like go, oh, you've gone to Chemist Warehouse. Isn't it about time you go to Chemist Warehouse again?
Yeah, it's really important for those, like, even when you give people good solutions, you think, hey, look, here's your virtual card. Now you just take a picture and upload it. We know that people don't do that still, even when it is super, super easy to do. This will start to remove a lot of that. They can just pay for stuff. The receipt just comes in automatically. And then you, as a bookkeeper accounting community, do not have to chase for those receipts. So yeah, we're big fans of what we're about to launch with Slip, and you'll see a lot more of that in the August version of my newsletter, as well as webinars, blogs. If we can run events ever again in Sydney, which might not be till 2022 at this point, you'll be able to come along and do that as well.
Excellent. There's always an event happening in Red's office. You should go just set them up there. We've had a question in the chat area. Are there plans to expand beyond Australia?
There's definitely conversations and discussions, Michael. Whether that's, I don't know that will be a this year thing, but we are doing preliminary work in the background so that if we decide to go global, we can, and the tech is ready for that. So we're building for the option to go international, but there's no plans to go international yet. If that makes sense. It's a very vague answer. I apologize.
I'll just add to that. I guess there's really two sides to that answer. First one being like global currencies, so being able to actually facilitate and hold and store, money in DiviPay across multiple currencies. Our founders are actually working on that at the moment, and that's a big kind of initiative just as a company and our strategy that we want to tick off really ASAP, and we've made really good progress. The other side of expanding outside of Australia is licensing. We need to get, the right financial service licensing, and those applications take time. So right now, our cards can be issued and used anywhere in the world. The next step is facilitating, being able to store funds in multiple currencies globally and access really cheap FX. And then beyond that, it's actually getting the licensing requirements to be able to service businesses and entities that are outside of Australia.
Yeah, it's complex as soon as you move beyond boundaries. Now, does anyone have any other questions there for who's up with me or in the area? Can I ask one question? The card that I get, just for clarification, is it a credit card or is it a debit card?
Well, it's a MasterCard debit card, if that helps.
Yeah, okay. So it's a MasterCard debit card. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
thank you very much.
It's not a line of, it's your own money. So it's a prepaid
Yeah.
you put cash on, but it powers through MasterCard's payment network.
Absolutely. Awesome. Oh, well, if there's no more questions, I'd like to thank Trent and Kale for joining us today. And how can people get in contact with you?
So outside of a good smoke signal or a social media tweet, you can email me at trent@divipay.com. And I'll put it in the chat here again as well. But if anyone is interested, they want to learn more, they want to get a partner account for themselves, and they want to just be a partner and get access to these wonderful, riveting, long newsletter emails that I trust they're just as interactive and engaging as I hopefully have been in this webinar. Please email me, come on board. We'd love to build out this channel. I've been focused on this for nearly 7 or 8 weeks now, and we've just ticked over 50 partners that are certified with partner accounts, which I'm very happy with, but it means I've been very busy. And doing these kinds of things helps to keep building out all the good work we're doing. So we can't achieve our goals without you. We need you. We'd love to work with you. So please, if you're interested, send me an email, holler at me. I'd love to chat.
Absolutely. And Kale, do you want them to get in contact with you?
No, I'll send them all Trent's way.
Fair enough. Oh, well, thank you very much, Trent and Kale, for joining us today.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Enjoy your lockdown, non-lockdown lives.